Hi everybody, this is Boog Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a full wave review on McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat Classic Wave 1. So first up, let's go ahead and take a look at Scorpion and his accessories. So first up, he comes with your Mortal Kombat Classic base, and finally he comes with his rope dart. And this looks fantastic. The thing that surprised me most about this figure is that there's actually wire inside the rope, so you can actually bend it around and pose it how you want. I think that was a fantastic idea on McFarlane's part. When I saw it in the packaging, I thought it was just regular rope that wasn't articulated or anything. But yeah, they actually ran wire through this, and man, that looks fantastic. That has been really fun for photography purposes. And that is his last accessory. I will say I definitely wish he at least would have came with a set of fisted hands and open hands. To be honest, all of the figures in this wave are a little light on accessories. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at his head sculpt. So taking a look at this head sculpt, McFarlane Toys did a fantastic job on it. The sculpt of the mask looks really good. They actually put black paint down in the sculpt work right there. It did miss its mark right here and here, but they actually did paint down in there, and that really surprised me. You also get some really nice print tech for the face there, and some shading around the eyes. That's a really good looking head sculpt. The rest of the outfit is also sculpted really nicely. I love all of the detail to the yellow parts of his outfit. Now, this is what surprised me the most about the figure, is the yellow parts are done in a base color of like mustard, and then they have a dry brushing of bright yellow over top of that. And it gives it some really nice variation. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But yeah, there actually is some paint variation over this figure, and I think that looks really nice. That looks pretty good. You also get some really cool texturing over top of his whole outfit, and that looks really good. Surprisingly, this overlay piece does not hinder his articulation. I was afraid when I saw pictures of this that the articulation might be limited, but he actually has some really good range of motion here. He might actually have better range of motion than DC Multiverse figures, which I think is kind of odd. You get some more of that dry brushing of bright yellow over top of the shin and knee pads right there. And the dry brushing really brings out the detailing on the knee pads right here. They've got some texture, and the dry brushing makes that look really good. I feel like they really hid the articulation well on the figure. I mean, except for the arms. But you know, from the head down to here, the articulation is actually hidden pretty well. He actually has a swivel here at the knee instead of a thigh swivel. I think he might actually have some articulation at the thigh, but it is very minimal. Instead, you need to utilize this joint right here. So that's kind of odd that they made a joint right there, but surprisingly, it does work. I have to say, the articulation is really top-notch on this figure. So now, let's go ahead and go over that articulation. So he has a ball-jointed head that can look up all the way. He can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side and around very nicely. He has shoulders that can move all the way out and spin all the way around. A swivel at the bicep that can move side to side. Double-jointed elbows that can bend in that far. Wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around. He has a ball-jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back that far. Forward a really nice amount. You can see you do get some gappage back here at this diaper piece, but he can actually crunch forward a good bit. You can see that the overlay piece right here does bunch up a little bit, but you can actually get him bending forward a decent amount. He can move side to side and around really nicely. He has hips that can do a complete split. He can actually go beyond a split. You can actually get his legs bent up that far. He can kick forward really, really far. That's what I said. The articulation on this figure just really surprised me. He has some top-notch articulation. He can kick back all the way. Yeah, there's really no thigh swivel there. He does have this swivel up here above the knee that can spin all the way around. Double-jointed knees that can move back all the way. Ankles that can move down just a little bit, up just a little bit, spin all the way around, and toe articulation that can move up that far. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at Sub-Zero. So first up, Sub-Zero comes with his base, but he stands pretty well on his own. Up next, he comes with a set of fisted hands. And finally, he comes with a set of accessory holding hands. And as I said with Scorpion, the accessories are really light on him. They saved all of the good accessories for the 2-pack version of Sub-Zero. I wish this version at least would have came with the frozen skull and spinal cord. I think that would have been really cool. Since Sub-Zero reuses the Scorpion body mold, you can actually switch the fisted and accessory holding hands to Scorpion here. So yeah, that's an extra option if you want. So now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Sub-Zero. So taking a look at this head sculpt, it looks really good just like Scorpion. I'm not going to focus a lot on this figure since he is just a remold of Scorpion. But I still think the paint detail is really nice on this figure. So you get printed on detailing on the face right here. I think that looks really good. I think McFarlane Toys, with the last few figures that I bought that have used the face print tech, I think they've really been refining that lately. On all of the blue parts of his outfit, they're done in a dark blue and have a dry brushing of light blue over top of them. Really brings out the detailing like on the mask right here and the quilted pattern, as well as the detailing there on the knee pads. I feel like the camera's actually picking up the paint variation better on this than on Scorpion. But yeah, that dry brushing looks fantastic. I just really like the way this figure looks. Like I said, it's a simple remold of Scorpion, but it's still pretty cool. So for his articulation, he has a head that can look up all the way. He can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side and around very nicely. Shoulders that can move out all the way and spin around all the way. A nice swivel at the bicep, if I can get that to move. Double jointed elbows that can bend in that far. Wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around. Ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back that far. He can move forward just about all the way. He can move side to side and around really nicely. Really good crunching there. You can actually get him just about kicking his hands by doing that. He can kick forward all the way. He can kick back. A non-existent thigh swivel, really. Swivel up here at the knee. Double jointed knees that do feel kind of crunchy. They can move back that far. Ankles that can move down all the way, up just a little bit, spin all the way around, and toe articulation that can move up that far. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at Liu Kang and his accessories. So first up, Liu Kang comes with his Mortal Kombat base. He does have kind of tiny feet, so he does benefit from using that. Up next, he comes with a set of fisted hands. And finally, he comes with these, I guess you'd call these striking hands. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at his head sculpt. So taking a look at this head sculpt, I do like it for the most part. I think the head looks really good. The sculpt is really good, at least. I think what bothers me is the paint. So he has this really heavy, like, orangish color right here on his cheeks. It's supposed to be, I think, shading. But man, they just went way too heavy and it looks really unnatural. I also feel like his eyebrows are kind of tiny. Were they that tiny in the game? I guess that's a detail I wasn't looking like super close at. That's more of just a personal nitpick. But man, the shading on those cheeks looks awful. But other than that, the hair is sculpted really nicely. You get his bandana there. And one thing that I can't tell is if this head is a reuse from the Mortal Kombat 11 Liu Kang figure. I don't know. The eyebrows are a lot different on this one. It almost doesn't even look like the same person. I can't really tell. If it is, then they changed it a lot just by doing the paint differently, and of course adding a new hairpiece to it. Now, the body mold on this figure is a reuse from the Mortal Kombat 11 one. I don't mind the upper torso being reused, but I do feel like they should have used some new pants. You know, tooled some new pants for him. I think that would have been better. I will say the articulation is a million times better on this one. Even though it uses the same body mold as the Mortal Kombat 11 version, the articulation is way better on this one for some reason. One thing that I didn't notice until I was looking really, really close at him is all of his muscles are shaded. So they did actually give some paint variation over top there. I feel like it's most noticeable here on his abs, but they did actually shade all of his muscles, and I think that actually looks really good. If they would have done it more subtle up here, it would look good. But yeah, it's really concentrated up here, and then they actually did some subtle shading down here. So I'm not sure why they didn't shade his cheeks the way they shaded the rest of his muscles. His forearm bands look pretty good. The silver that they painted the studs on with, that actually stands out. You can see it's kind of reflecting in the light right there. Since McFarlane Toys did reuse the Mortal Kombat 11 body mold, you get these really textured pants. I don't think that was honestly necessary for this figure. I don't know, that's kind of a nitpick. I guess it's also a nitpick because even though he does reuse this mold, the articulation is actually really nice on him. And he has really tiny feet. Like I said, he can be kind of tricky to stand because he has tiny feet there. So now, let's go ahead and go over his articulation. So he has a ball-jointed head that can actually look back all the way because they did make a cut there at the neck. So he can look up all the way. He can look down just about all the way. He can move his head side to side and around really nicely. Does kind of catch right there. What am I catching that on? I think I'm catching the joint there. Okay, so be careful when you're doing that. He has shoulders that can move all the way out, spin all the way around, a swivel here at the bicep, double jointed elbows that can just about bend in all the way. Now, the wristband does hinder the articulation a little bit right here. He has wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around. I did actually pop the hand off there. He has a ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back all the way. He can actually crunch forward a decent amount. If it wasn't for this diaper piece right here, I think he'd actually be able to crunch forward a little more. He can move side to side and around really nicely. He has hips that can do a complete split. He can kick forward really nice. So yeah, he can actually kick forward very far. He can't kick back all the way. Actually, you can just get him spinning all the way around there. Now, the thigh swivel is the only part that's really hindered. And it's because it's hitting on this piece right here. I was going to trim that away so he'd have more of a thigh swivel, but then I realized it's not connected to anything down here. So this diaper piece would probably just shift up and down like crazy if I did that. He has double jointed knees that can move back that far. Ankles that can move down and up very slightly. They can spin all the way around. And he has toe articulation that can move back that far, though his toes kind of look like they're broken if you do that. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at the final figure, Kitana, and her accessories. So first up, Kitana comes with her base here, but she does stand pretty well on her own. Up next, she comes with her closed fan. And finally, she comes with her open fan. This has some decent sculpt detail to it, but she can't hold it properly. It just falls right out of her hand. You know, she should be able to hold it like this, but she can't. She also has a trigger finger for some reason. So, like, you can't get her holding it the way she's supposed to. Even if you try to do that, she can't hold it. So, yeah, she can't even hold the main accessory that I want her to. And that is very infuriating. Which, honestly, this is the least infuriating thing about the figure, honestly. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at her head sculpt. So taking a look at this head sculpt, I do think the head sculpt is really nice on this figure. That's really the only thing that I find nice on this. So all of the printed on details look really nice, like the eyes and the eyebrows. Like I said, I think McFarlane did a really good job with all of the printed details on the faces on a lot of the new figures I've got, especially in this wave. I also like the sculpt detail to her mask. I didn't realize at first, but they actually did sculpt some wrinkles like the fabric stretching over her face. So I think that looks really good, and the sculpt of the hair also looks really nice. I don't like this little strand right here on the side of her face. Maybe it's because they didn't paint it the best, and you can see where some paint didn't get on the sculpt there. But that's a minor nitpick. I do like the head sculpt on this. Now, I think this is a brand new body mold, but the body mold looks awful. Now, you don't need a whole lot of sculpt details for this outfit. You know, that's not really a complaint of mine. It's just the proportions on this figure are terrible. You know, I feel like especially here at the midsection, like I don't know what is going on with her midsection right here. I also feel like it's a darker shade. I really can't tell blue shades apart that much, but I feel like it's a little bit darker. But like it's just weirdly positioned. Maybe if I spin it around? That really doesn't look much better, honestly. I don't know, it's also just like the hip region right here. It just looks really funny, the way they sculpted it, and they like made her completely flat in the back. I don't know, I feel like that just looks really funny. All the guys in this wave are thicker than she is. Like I said, I'm not going to hold not sculpting any of the details on here because you really don't need to. Now, the biggest thing that I dislike about this figure is look at these massive feet. Why did McFarlane give her clown shoes? Like, it's just distracting to look at when you see her. I might actually swap her and Liu Kang's feet. I feel like Liu Kang's tiny feet would look a lot better on her. But yeah, I am not fond of this figure at all. I also forgot to mention this is red platinum, so she's probably the hardest one of this wave to find. But honestly, I wouldn't waste my money on her. She is easily the worst figure in this wave, which sucks because I was really looking forward to her. I really like the previous version that McFarlane did. This is from the Mortal Kombat 11 game, and I feel like it just looks a lot better on this one. I do like the head sculpt, but like I said, the body mold is just horrible. You know, McFarlane actually put a bunch of effort into the previous one. But yeah, I don't feel like the effort was there on this one. I know it wouldn't have been accurate in terms of the design, but McFarlane Toys should have reused the Catwoman or Starfire body mold for this. Honestly, they might not be able to do that. I don't know if they can reuse a mold from DC for Mortal Kombat and vice versa. But I feel like that body mold would have been much better suited to the figure than whatever this is. So now, let's go ahead and go over her articulation. So she can't look back at all because of her hair. She does have a bulge one here. She can look down all the way. She can move her head side to side a little bit. She has shoulders that can move out that far. The shoulder joints don't spin that much. She has a swivel at the bicep. Double jointed elbows that can bend in all the way. Wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around. She has a ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back all the way, and she can't move forward at all. Maybe that's why I had this spun. If you spin this, then you can get her crunching forward a decent amount. I still don't know which way the torso is supposed to be. It was like this in the package, but I feel like it looks more correct if it's spun around. I don't know, that still doesn't really make the figure better either way. She has hips that can do a complete split. She can kick forward a nice bit, back all the way, and a little bit of a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees that can move back all the way, ankles that can move down all the way, up just a little bit, spin all the way around, and to articulation that's really stiff that can move up that far. So despite not having too many accessories and being pricier, I honestly still would recommend picking up Liu Kang, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero. Scorpion in particular is my favorite from this wave. Honestly, everything about him surprised me. The articulation is fantastic. I really thought it'd be hindered, but it wasn't. And the paint variation is also really good on him. The same goes for Sub-Zero since he is just a remold of him. And I also think Liu Kang's really good too. Like I said, I wish they would have sculpted some new pants for him. But just like with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, I was surprised at the good articulation he has. The only figure I dislike in this wave is Kitana. It feels like really no effort was put into her. Like I said, the proportions are awful. Those clown shoes that she has for feet look terrible. And she can't even hold her accessory properly. That really irritated me. You know, she's one of my favorite characters in the game, so I was really let down by that. So, that's my review of the full Mortal Kombat Classics Wave 1. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.